Today, I want to invite you behind the scenes as I work on a song I'm producing, specifically a bridge section that needs a little something extra. By the way, the song I'm working on in this video is a song you could be working on too if you were a part of my VIP membership. We do a new challenge every month. This month, the challenge is to take a keyboard and vocal track from a song and produce them however you want. If that sounds fun to you, come join us at homestudiocorner.com/VIP. Also, stick around to the end of the video. I'll show you an acoustic guitar doubling trick that I don't use all the time, but when I do, it's delightful. Okay, here's the song in question. It's a ballad that is mostly Fender Rhodes and vocal with some bass and a light drum loop. And it gets to this bridge section where things start to build and grow. And I've produced it quite a bit to where we've got these background vocals that are slowly building. This part comes in, then this part, then this part, and then some percussion stuff comes in on the last half of this bridge. It's all building up, crescendoing to like a dropped out, really quiet final chorus that happens here. Shush chorus. So I want to play that section for you and then talk about what I think it needs, because it's still missing something. I'll let it come out of this second chorus here, go into the bridge, let you hear the whole bridge, then we will talk about it. Here we go.
There's no other choice. The world needs your voice, and you cannot escape it. There's no need to hide. Just swallow your pride and go out and face it.
Okay, so you get the idea. It is this slow build. It's long, maybe a little too long. I may shorten that section a little bit, but the idea is just a slow, kind of pensive, growing section. And like that percussion comes in pretty abruptly. I just recorded that, so maybe have that ease in too, like the shaker comes in first and then the tambourine and things like that. But what I recognize is I still think it needs a rhythmic element to keep it going. The pulsing 4 on the floor, drum beat is there. The Rhodes is kind of just playing quarter notes as well. So something that's 8th notes, potentially 16th notes towards the end is what I'm thinking. And I think the answer is this beautiful thing, acoustic guitar. Also, maybe a double of acoustic and something else, not just acoustic, a kind of a shake things up in our the way that we double things, something that I've done in the past that's super interesting that I'll show you a little bit later. But for now, let me just record an acoustic part. And here's an important piece. I normally play with these Jazz 3 picks. They're super thick. They're like 1.5 millimeters, I think. They're very thick. They don't bend at all. And so they give it this, let me switch over to that mic. They give it a very thick and thumpy sound, which in a recent video I talked about how there's thump in guitar. One of the ways, I didn't say in that video, but it's absolutely true, somebody mentioned in the comments, changing out the pick thickness will completely change the tone. If it's too thick, maybe a thinner pick or vice versa. But here's what this pick sounds like. You get a lot of thickness. It's not super bright. I love the way this sounds, and I use this probably 95% of the time. But when I'm thinking in terms of percussiveness, I immediately thought this needs to be a thinner pick. So this is an old Jim Dunlop 46 millimeter, or 0.46. Yeah, it's not 46 millimeters. And it's much thinner. Here's what that sounds like. That, I think, is the tone that I want for this song. So I'm going to record this entire bridge using this, starting off a lot more simple, just a simple, probably just eighth note rhythm, really pretty straight. And then where it starts to build, I'm probably going to add in some pushes. So instead of just going, I'll probably add a push. So it's that little you know what I'm talking about.
There's no need to hide, just swallow your pride and go out and face it. Go.
All right, and now just for giggles, because this is the typical thing that I will do, I'm just going to duplicate that. Not duplicate it, I'm going to double it. So I'm going to play that same thing again on another track, and I'll skip ahead in the video so you can hear what that sounds like, both of them together. All right, here's what those two sound like together. Very much like the right tone that I wanted for this. If it was just a guitar vocal, I wouldn't use that thin pick. I don't like it by itself. Doubled is a little better, but in the mix as almost a percussive element that's adding a little bit of harmonic stuff to it as well, it's super interesting. Now, what I love to do occasionally when I've got a brighter acoustic that's really just doing the bright chimey thing, I love to double it with electric, typically like a Telecaster sound. So I want to try that at least with one, maybe two, just kind of straight up amp, slightly overdriven, just to double what I did here. It can sometimes create a really special sound, and perhaps even replacing one of these two. So acoustic on the left and electric on the right. Let's just see what that sounds like. Okay, got my bootlegger guitars. This is like a Tele. Plugged into like a Princeton kind of amp. Just a little breakup. I feel like that's going to pair nicely. I'm going to mute the guitar that I doubled that's on the right, and just play this and pan this to the right, so that playing that opposite the other. and just see how those two sound together. I'm going to record in the same section. Let's see how they sound. I like that a lot because it gives a different flavor of double. Acoustic over here, electric over here. They're not the exact same tone. Nothing wrong with just a direct same tone double, but sometimes it's nice to shake things up. And I would probably in the mix EQ these to be a little more similar. So I'd probably EQ that electric to be a little less mid-rangey probably. And I'd probably take a little bit of low end out of that acoustic too, but those pair nicely. Now, another way you could do this is you could double that electric and then have just doubled acoustics, doubled electrics, both pan left and right. That can work. Or one option might be keep the acoustics doubled and just put the electric up the middle. That way you've got your standard double here and the electric kind of in triple. That can sound interesting. Downside of that is that electric gets a little bit lost compared to this. And I really like the asymmetry of that. The acoustic with its brightness, the bright telly but not quite as bright, but they're both rhythmically playing the same thing, so they're occupying these left and right buckets well without being exactly the same. Sometimes you fall into the trap if you do too much doubling, it's just too much of the same and it almost comes across as just mono. This feels very stereo and feels very nice. All right, that wraps it up for this week. If you haven't seen this video, people seem to like it. You might want to check that out, especially if you're into mixing vocals. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.